Howdy, it's Jim Morado. This is a video I made while roaming around the wonderful little town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, back, I want to say, the middle of October. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, we drove down just to kind of enjoy the weirdness of this little town. I did some filming. To be honest with you, I've actually videotaped or recorded in Point Pleasant a number of times. This is just such a wonderful town. Really pretty downtown area. You've got some label scarring going on over there, and some old billboard ads or some old paintings on the sides of the buildings. The downtown is just so attractive and so authentically old. And this is just a neat little town. Of course, a lot of people go here, myself included, for the folklore and the weirdness of it, relating mostly to the Mothman. And you probably know they have a Mothman festival here every year. That festival was canceled for this year, of course, because of COVID. And it's just a great little town on its own, and I think people realize that. In fact, while we were there, the town was pretty crowded. And I know some of the older Mothman festivals that I attended early on.
Stupid son.
Well, they weren't, especially if it was rainy and there was bad weather, they weren't very well attended. That's not the case now. In fact, it's a madhouse if you go during the Mothman weekend. But some of the early ones I went to were not so well attended. And this particular day, there was a good crowd down there. You're not seeing it right now. This is still kind of early. Yeah, there was actually a good amount going on this particular day. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about Point Pleasant without bringing up its past relating to the Mothman or the Silver Bridge collapse. I wanted to bring up the Coffee Grinder, which is a wonderful little coffee shop. This is one of my favorite coffee shops, period. This is just so cozy. It's so pleasant. They have a trade in your book shelf, one of those bookshelves where people can, you can take a book and leave a book. I love that. And they've also got the little cutout thing where you can stick your head in there and get your picture taken as the Mothman. And it's just such a nice little coffee shop. They're always friendly. They sell Mothman cookies, by the way. I usually get a Mothman cookie. I know I've been there at times where they've sold out of Mothman cookies. But you have to get a Mothman cookie just because you're in Point Pleasant. And this is just a great little coffee shop, and I love it. I've mentioned this coffee shop on my blog a lot. And it's just really nice. It almost makes me want to move to Point Pleasant and just hang out there. And there's the old historic Low Inn or Low Hotel that's been there forever. And I'm walking down towards the river, and they've got these great murals down by the river. There's the hotel again. The murals are really, really well done, and there's a whole lot of them. I'm going to walk through here so you can get a good look. And again, this is just a little very attractive riverfront area. And yeah, Point Pleasant, again, I just want to mention that it's a wonderful town on its own. It's just a very nice, calm town with a lot of history. And there's another museum, if you go further downtown, devoted more to the history and more to the bridge and the community. And then, of course, there's also the Mothman Museum, which has really taken on a life of its own. And the Mothman has breathed a lot of life into this town and its economy. I know back when I first started going to the Mothman festivals, there was a little shop, which is actually where the Coffee Grinder is now, and that shop mostly sold, Mothman postcards, toys, statues. So, there was a period where you had a couple shops in town just selling Mothman stuff. Right now, in the location of where the Mothman Museum used to be, another shop has opened. That's more of a novelty shop, but it's very much, Mothman, Bigfoot, Flatwoods Monster stuff, and it's a really cute little shop, and I like them both. Yeah, it's just just a nice little town. This is a fun little town to drive in. Forget the Mothman. Don't forget the Mothman. Go there for the Mothman. But this is just a neat little town to go to, even if you don't care about the Mothman. Oh, and right now we're walking out a little bit. This is down from those murals a little bit. There is the monument to the bridge, the Silver Bridge collapse from 1967. Just another interesting and fascinating part of this town's history. A very sad and tragic part of the history. Over 40 people were killed when that bridge collapsed. And the bridge used to be right here. Literally right here is where the bridge used to be, and there's that monument. Of course, a lot of people with the folklore link it to the Mothman. And I know there's a lot of people in town who would prefer that it not be linked to the Mothman. But it's definitely part of the town, and it was going on kind of when all the Mothman stuff was going on. I'll try to put up a video later. I've got a ton of footage that I've filmed around town during the Mothman festival and out at the igloos. I'm gonna get that stuff up later, but I took this recently. There's a little cat. I think that was the little cat was looking at me outside of a little apartment complex. Oh yeah, and here's the little shop. This is where the Mothman Museum was originally. And now there's just this great little shop there, and they sell all sorts of novelties. Probably have a little... They have a lot of the stuff that the Mothman Museum has, and they have a lot of stuff that it doesn't. And I think you've pretty much got the same people running it, but it's two very different businesses. And if you're in town, you got to go into both of them. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Low Hotel. Also, I didn't go in there this particular day, but I've stuck my head in there in the past, and there is a precious little couple that runs that hotel. I've never stayed there, but I've peeked in. I know they had a Christmas ornament last year, and I went in and just bought their Christmas ornament and ended up talking to them for a very long time. And they were just wonderful. And I'm trying to get my wife to agree to going down here and just spending a weekend and staying at the hotel. And just with everything going on in the world right now, we're not, that's not going to happen right now, but it'll happen soon. Yeah, that would be a nice overnight kind of thing. Go and stay at the Low and just walk around downtown. That's just such a gorgeous downtown area. When I think of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, I think of that little downtown area there. We walked past the old theater, which is vacant. I think it's been for sale for years. When they have the Mothman Festival, a lot of the experts on ghosts and cryptids and some of the witnesses will do little Q&As and talks in that theater, and that's a lot of fun. We're going down here. I think we just passed it on the left. Is the little community museum or kind of a river-based museum. They have a lot of information about the river and about the bridge collapse. Right now, I think they're doing some renovation. It's kind of boxed up at the moment, but especially in a few months or so, whenever you plan your trip to Point Pleasant, make sure you don't pass on going to that museum also. If you walk out of the Mothman Museum and take a left, you'll walk several blocks, but it's maybe a 10-minute, 15-minute walk at most. And you get down here and you're towards that other museum. And there's also a lot of other history that happened down through here. Point Pleasant, again, even if you leave out the Mothman, it's a very historic town. Revolutionary War connections. There's a fort in town, one of those pioneer forts. And I haven't been to it yet. It's been closed on the couple of days that I've tried to go there, but that's something I definitely want to check out. People into true crime might know a little bit about this town too. Something, a little crazy thing happened at the courthouse at one point. But there's just a lot to appreciate about this town if you're into weirdness. And it's another one of those towns. I compared it recently to if you go down to Adams, Tennessee, if you're into the Bell Witch stuff. And Adams is a much smaller town than Point Pleasant. There is just this is a thriving metropolis compared to Adams, Tennessee, but both towns, you kind of walk into them. Once you get to these little towns, and the history, especially relating to ghosts and the Mothman and the Bell Witch and that kind of stuff. You kind of walk into these towns and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I get it, I get it. So Point Pleasant has developed a little bit of a reputation, just for being a bit of a magnet for people into ghosts and cryptids and all that. Oh yeah, and there's several businesses back downtown. We're just kind of driving around. This is a little piece away from downtown. We're just driving around for the heck of it right now. But if you go back towards the downtown area, there are some just walk into every business down there because they're all wonderful. There's a antique mall. I believe it's called the Mason Jar, and I've had some great finds there, especially if you're into small stuff, knickknacks, ephemera, that that kind of thing. It's a good place where you can find some stuff. Even if you've got 10, $20 to spend, you're not looking for anything big and expensive. You can find some interesting items there. There's a really nice Christian bookstore down there too, and I cannot think of the name of it right now, but there was a really sweet lady running it when we were there last time. My mother-in-law really loves Christian fiction, and she devours books all the time, and we're always looking for books for her, and it was just a really, really nice, warm bookstore. We liked that place. There is a kind of home decor furniture store, and I can't think of the name of it right now either, but it's where the old bank was, and they've got the vaults and all that. It's the kind of store, it's up a little bit. You have to walk up some stairs. I would have missed it if I wasn't looking for it. And again, this is just a 1-minute walk away from the Mothman Museum. And this last time I noticed a pet store, and we didn't have time to go in there. I used to raise fish, and I'm always going into pet stores whenever I can just for the fun of it, but we did not get an opportunity to go in there this time. We're about to turn back downtown here in just a moment, going back kind of towards the Mothman Museum. And as we turn on the right, the coffee grinder used to be right up here on the right, and then it moved to its current location. And I forget the story. I know there's a big Mothman connection right up here to one of these buildings. And of course, right there, kind of directly in front of us, you're looking at where the old bridge used to go up. It used to be right there. And there's a marker. There's the theater on the right I mentioned earlier. That pet store is right on the left here. Mason Jar's on the left coming up. A little Mexican restaurant on the right that I haven't been to yet, but I would love to check out. And then that new shop that opened up that we were inside of a moment ago is up here on the right. If you saw the movie The Mothman Prophecies, and I give it credit for bringing the Mothman into the kind of popular culture thing, but and right here on the left is the Mothman Museum, and filmmaker Seth Breedlove was actually selling his videos in front of the place earlier. There's the coffee grinder again on the left. Post office is on the right. I've stopped by the post office several times. I'm a fan of post offices, and I collect postmarks. Very friendly little postal workers in there. Very attractive old post office. Yeah, but Seth Breedlove was selling some movies he's made, and he was out in front of the Mothman Museum, and I chatted with him for quite a while. But going back to the Bell Witch, he just made a movie about the Bell Witch. I haven't seen it yet, but Adams, Tennessee, again, is a little town I've been to quite a bit, and we were just trading Bell Witch stories, and that was a lot of fun. That's a town I've got to get to. I've never taken my camera down there to video, but I'm going to have to do that in the near future. But I did buy, I bought Seth's video on the Flatwoods Monster, and it's basically a 45-minute documentary that just, it's well produced, and it's just an interesting little video. And he makes him and his crew, they make videos about the Mothman, the Flatwoods Monster, the Bell Witch, and they've got pretty high production value. So I was kind of glad to talk to him and to check out what he was doing. And we're leaving Point Pleasant right now. If you're familiar with this area, we're gonna be near Hillbilly Hot Dogs in Lesage here in about 20-30 minutes. And that's always a fun trip, from eastern Kentucky, central Kentucky, going to Point Pleasant, getting up early, going to Point Pleasant for the day, coming back. We always hit Hillbilly Hot Dogs, and that's just a fun trip. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed that. I just wanted to put a quick video up talking about Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the town, and how nice the town is. And I'm sure, give me a month or two, I'll get some of my videos up talking more about the Mothman, one of my favorite folk legends. Thanks.